And then we have the situation of channels like my own. Believe me, I've expressed multiple times that I'm kind of shocked that I'm still going, but then again, I'm not because
So Jason, on that note, on a more of a laughable note, are you happy the fact that the CIA might be just paying $5.99 a month for your archaic subscription?
they are. They're
Yeah,
not the
Probably
only
getting good
I'm
ones.
value
sure
for
they are.
money too.
I'm sure they are. They're
They
getting a
are.
lot.
They're
Yeah.
not the only ones. So's Israeli intelligence. I've had a run in with them, but I even publicized it on my channel. I ain't care. I've given them multiple reasons to axe me. I'm talking about I've come out with some hellified predictions that nailed it right on target, and they still haven't asked me. So I mean, I've got other people, I've got friends of mine that pretty much tell me as well. It says, hey man, you know what? You know you're being watched. It says the only reason you're still up and running and
Have
doing
you,
what you're doing
Jason?
is because they're studying.
Have you been approached by any government agencies slash operatives or organisations such as the Freemasons or something like, and asked to join up or be a member of, kind of thing?
I've been extended membership to something similar to the Masons, but not quite. But
Okay.
but no, I did have operatives show up on my property, and I published their pictures on YouTube. I embarrassed the shit out of them. I met them in a public place. I showed it all on YouTube. They paid me $4,000 in a public place to take their pictures off of YouTube. But they
Wow.
they rolled up on my property, and all my surveillance cameras picked them up. So I just shared my whole. There's people in the chat that saw the pictures. I had the pictures up for about 4 days before they met me in public. Gave me a wad of cash right there in front of the owner of Texas Longhorn Steakhouse, right in front of Don, right in front of Martin Leakey, right in front of Cheryl. Yeah, we were all in the parking lot, man. They were serious. Said, man, I mean, they couldn't make me do it, but then again, I mean, my life could have got real uncomfortable. But then again, four
Sure.
thousand dollars is a nice little take just
It's
to release
helpful.
a couple
It's helpful.
pictures.
Every little helps.
Yeah,
Right. So back to the apocalypse.
yeah.
So
So the
Book of
apocalypse.
Revelation.
Okay, well, we're looking at programming. So if you're in Rise Above. I'm Jason of Archaics. I'm in Texas. You guys are in the UK. But when it comes to the powers of the construct, you and I are no different than the elite. The only difference here is they have access to information that goes back thousands of years. They understand the programming. They've been through this many times before. They are trying to find a way to either control the whole program or make their exit in a different way than was ordinarily designed. The ordinary way is spiritual maturity. Spiritual maturity will get you sealed. And once you are sealed, this is what the seven seals are about in the apocalypse. This is all coding. If you are among the sealed, the awakened, you're going to make your exodus. This is the story of the programming of the Bible. Removing all the extraneous information, all the cultural information, all the misinformation, the core fundamentals of the biblical teachings is that you are somewhere you do not belong. This is why the world is called Egypt. You are waiting for an exodus date. You have to be ready for that exodus date. Remember, they painted blood on the land. All
For
those who
Passover.
knew that,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
a
yeah.
certain event was coming, they painted the blood so that doom shape would totally ignore that they were there, and it worked. And those who didn't, and those who didn't were subject to whatever happened. Phoenix phenomenon, the doom shape, the 10 plagues, whatever, the 10 comets of the Chinese Silk Magawati text, whatever really happened at that event. But in the biblical story, it's all about it's all about we are in a world that we do not belong. That's why the Bible calls us pilgrims. It calls us sojourners. We are travelers. This is why the greatest spiritual teaching that can be found in the Bible is in the New Testament in the form of parables. And parables are not the truth. They are the images of truth. Real truths can never be uttered in a construct that is based on deception. So Jesus actually taught the actual truth by lying. And what I mean is, not one of those parables he said was actually true. None of those stories happened. The prodigal son and building a putting a candle on a hill so your light wouldn't be hidden. None of those were true. They're parables. They're images of truth. In a medium of deception, it was necessary to use deceit in order to teach truth. Jesus was a master at this, and one of the greatest parables that sums up the entire Bible is the prodigal son. And the reason is because the individual soul that goes out into the construct and does what they want, learns what they want to do, goes their own way, makes these discoveries, trips, falls down, climbs up, falls back down, gets screwed over, gets back up, finds themselves getting beat up by several other souls, gets back up, keeps going, and finally comes back to the realization that the All Father knew what he was talking about from the beginning. The oversoul is looking for those errants, those who don't just blindly obey, those who actually defy the programming, do whatever they want to do until they beat themselves up in the construct to the point where they relent and realize, damn, God knew what he was talking about all along. I was tripping. This is what the story of the prodigal son is. This is basically what the entire story of the construct in the Bible is itself. Is those that will make their exodus are those who enjoyed and suffered the construct, not those who control it.
Wow. There is no contest without the adversary. You should have pressed the big explosion button there. I changed
You
it.
keep changing the
No.
interface.
Well, what we're talking about here, obviously, with the current events in mind, have real world physical implications for people, and we need to make sure that you talk about this a lot, about not to have any fear, because it severs the connection with the oversoul and connects you within the simulacrum and within the AIX matrix. I've got a saying, or more rather a lyric, and a lot of my lyrics are like mantras. It's this: infinite essence can't be diminished when the fear inside your heart is extinguished. And I think it basically means the same thing, and we have to bear this in mind, because with what's going on in the world at the moment, what's happened in the last 3 years, many people that will be listening in or watching the show maybe has something happen to a member of their family, to someone they know, whether it was
Loss of business,
suicides, and all of this is part of the construct, of course, and going forward. From what we've seen so far and what we can sort of ascertain, and certainly from what you've said in your predictions, it's not going to be getting any better anytime soon, because the first seal has been broken, which, like you've said, appears to be these so-called saviors in white coats shooting an arrow that was learned by Apollo with Pharmakeia, the god of
in English, the word is arrow, but in Greek, the word is toxin.
which is similar to toxin.
Very similar. Very similar.
Jason, just before we go any further, so we're just talking about fear and being fearful. So, Jason, in some of your previous videos that I've seen, you talk about the Phoenix weapon being attracted to a frequency, a low, fearful frequency. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is now we're going into the realm of theory. But yes, I have theorized that this is maybe why the elite hide from it. They know that there's really no way, because they're human too. That means they have a conscience. And if they have a conscience, that means some of them cannot escape the guilt they feel for the things they've done against the human family.
Because what I was getting at, because
to escape that guilt targets them. If the Phoenix is truly targeting certain frequencies, this is why the elite would try to get as far underground as possible.
Because they've done what they've done, yeah. Because if it hunts, if you're on a lower vibrational frequency and you're fearful of everything, you look from the last 3 years in particular, but I mean just in general, how the media flood, especially the West, with fear porn, basically all through the news, everything, constantly, all the time. It's all fearful. Be scared of terrorists, be scared of pandemics, be scared of getting old, getting overweight, everything. So do you think that they're actually deliberately pumping the West? Because you've speculated, I think, in some of your previous work, that the next Phoenix event is going to be westernized. Do you think that they're deliberately pumping the West with fear to actually maybe enhance
to make them more Phoenix compatible?
Yeah, and more Phoenix compatible. And then obviously they know what's going on, so they're going to be hiding underground, maybe in a completely different geographical location to the West. What do you think about that, just from your personal opinion?
Yeah, well, I didn't word it the way you just did, but that was really good. But I've turned it basically scapegoating the public.
Sure.
Like they're using the media for the past 30 years to create such a low vibration in the collective that it literally scatters that vibration. It scatters the ability of a technology like the Phoenix to be able to find them through all that.
So,
that
Jason,
they left behind.
do you think that then what they're doing there, exactly what you just described, do you think that is the true depopulation method?
Well, I don't see depopulation really happening right now. I mean,
Okay.
the birth rate is still up.
No, sorry,
I don't think-
I'm talking about in 2040 when the next Phoenix event's going to come.
Okay, well,
So
that's
that's what I was
16.5
talking
years
about.
from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Phoenix phenomenon 16.5 years from now. I think we have really interesting things along these lines about to happen next year. I believe 2004 is still on the sea. It's still on. What we haven't discussed here is that uh, the elite are operating on the Greek Olympiad calendar
The
every
4-year calendar,
4
yeah.
years, just like the American presidential elections, which affect the whole world, are on the Greek Olympiad calendar. Not in between, not on year 1, 2, or 3, but on the Greek Olympiad every 4-year calendars when we have presidential elections. It's also when the Olympics occur. And these Olympic ceremonies, you already know. I haven't done the videos yet. I'm probably gonna. I don't know if I'm gonna put them on YouTube yet, but what we're seeing with Russell Brand in the 2012 Olympic ceremony, it's harrowing. They mapped all this out in a ritual. Every
Well,
bit of
wasn't he dressed
2020.
as the Mad Hatter?
He was dressed as the Mad Hatter, and he was playing the part of the Pied
Piper.
Piper of
Yeah.
Hamelin. But his specific role in the ritual was to make sure that though truthers, make sure that the community that was waking up had a narrative that he was going to guide them down so they wouldn't look anywhere else. These were those who were trapped, dressed like hippies, free thinkers. They were dressed like hippies, and they were in a really odd hippie like bus, but they were inside the bus, and his role, Russell Brand's public role, is in that ritual. He is the one designed to make sure that people waking up are just led in circles. That's all they did. The whole ritual in the bus is drive in circles, drive in circles.
That's so spot on. I always called Russell Brand the purple pill merchant. He was saying, here's the blue pill, and talking about the red pill, but he was actually always mixing the two together, and he was giving you the purple pill. He's a purple pill merchant. I called that from 10 years ago, and you know what we saw. It was obviously earlier this year when the Russell Brand story broke. It was almost like it was really a good test of who had actually been paying attention.